Hi, Aquarius. I've tried to make this video like 4 times, tried to upload it several times, decided to do it again as soon as I got ready, with everything. This lighting situation happened. And I thought to myself, no, no, you just redid all of this. We're making this video. And if that means that I have to sit here in the glaring, unforgiving light of this Scandinavian sun, I guess you guys need this sun, because here we are, right out of the bag. So, Aquarius. Okay, 10 of Cups, first card out. There's been some kind of like an energetic, I think, issue a little bit with air signs, in between air signs. This applies to Geminis with Libras, Geminis with Aquarians, Aquarians with Libras. There's been a bit of discord amongst the air sign camp. And I definitely felt it, for sure. And almost every air sign I know is like having beef with another air sign. And as always, because you are the fixed air sign, when things start to go south, you're the one. Oh, okay, that's nice. Hi, hello. Normal lighting. So when things start to go south, you're the one usually who ends up having to shoulder a lot of the blame, the responsibility, the consequences, the one who thinks it all the way through. Not that Libra doesn't. We know Gemini doesn't. But Libra does, but not the way you guys do. You guys are really hard about it on yourselves. And I think there's been a lot of throwing around of energy lately. And now you come into a period where I feel like there are just things you want to say and wrongs that you want righted. Like things that you're like, you know what? Like that was really messed up. Like that shouldn't have happened to me. Or that shouldn't have happened at all. But not on the surface, right? Because on the surface you're like, yeah, things are supposed to be going really well and I'm feeling really strong. But like, I think I wrote it on Instagram where someone was like, what's going on with the Aquarian reading? And I was like, it's really hard to read for you guys, because when you are proud of your aloof kind of distance from people, which there's no judgment there, that's how you guys are, then when you have that sort of pride and you nurture that within yourself, that distance, as someone who connects, it can be a bit frustrating. And frustrating only if someone is trying to read you. Great for your personal, containment of potential. Great for you. Just difficult for anyone who's trying to perhaps communicate with you. And that brings me to my point, which is that communication for you this month is clearing up in a really big way, especially when it comes to talking about love and talking about relationships. But there's something else going on here. The communication is clearing up. Let's see. Let's see what the cards say, okay? Because I think it's about love, but not in the way that you think. I think what you're realizing now is that maybe this thing that you really, really wanted, it was because of like a formed pattern. Because you have so much activity in the house of the subconscious this month. Like, I think you're realizing that you were going off of a template, which is weird because Aquarians don't do that. But in this way, or with this thing, this 10 of Cups doesn't have to be just a relationship. It can be a job. It can be a venture. It can be something you really put your heart into, something that you really thought was going to work. It can be a group you joined, something that you really had high hopes for, right? That this was going to be your moment in the sun, okay? And I think you have things to say about how it went, and if it didn't work out, why it didn't work out. You gotta be honest with yourself before you can settle scores. Let's put it that way. Like, you can't go to anyone and say, you did this or you did that, if you haven't first looked at yourself and said, okay, you know what? Actually, I have been lying to myself about this, or I've been keeping this from myself, or I've been, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to shine a light on those places in your life right now that it's very easy for you to kind of just pass over as an Aquarian and just say, oh, you know, it can be a little bit dangerous to have the stubbornness of a fixed sign with the, let's say, distance of an air sign, right? Because it makes for a personality that can very easily lose sight of consequences, because their stubbornness is more important than whatever may happen. Like, it doesn't matter what happens after I say this thing or after I do this thing. I'm going to say it or I'm going to do it just on principle. The way I have it written down here, which we'll get into in the extended reading, which is like free for everyone this month, the way I have it written down here is in association with Capricorn in your 12th house, and it says your formed patterns. So that's why I stopped here with this 10 of Cups. That's why we haven't gone any further yet, because 10 of Cups is about your formed patterns. 10 of Cups is, what do you relate to as being the quintessential love relationship? Because you have so much activity in your house of relationships. You have so much activity in your house of romance. Like, this is being examined now, you know, not in an abstract way, not in the way that you would rather discuss it, right? I'm just trying to find where this light is actually going to work. Sorry. No, I don't, people have been asking lately about like light. I don't use like a light. Actually, I've just been, you know what? One second. So I have this little light here to illuminate the cards. So we're going to use that and see if that helps. Okay, so your formed patterns, 10 of Cups, it comes into question now what that is for you and what you're willing to do to make that a reality. Like, how much are you willing to sacrifice of yourself and what you are and who you are to satisfy this 10 of Cups dream that perhaps you have, or perhaps your family gave you, or perhaps your culture gave you, or, you know, whatever it is. So a strange feeling, right? Because on the surface, so happy, so positive. Yay, we're going to have, you know, a talk about love. We're gonna be in love. There's romance coming into the picture. Like, all this like really, really positive stuff. As you can see, I didn't know if it was going to work. So I think that's why it's working, because I didn't like prep for it, because my energy has also been a little bit off about, you know, doing the reading, because I can feel how you guys are just pushing, like in every direction, like pushing people away, pushing yourselves away, pushing the situation, needing answers, starting to communicate in a way that you're like even saying to yourself, like, what am I doing? You know, I can feel the frenetic quality of it, and I'm so sensitive to that kind of energy. Like, I was just thinking about it this morning. Like, in the past decade, perhaps, the two people who have like brought out like a really ugly side of me, like where I was like, wow, I didn't even know I could be that way. Both of those people, it was this year, and both of those people are Aquarians, and I don't even really know any Aquarians like that. Like, I know some, but like, that's just a crazy ratio, you know? So I think it's because the person you can sense the most acutely sometimes is the one that can get under your skin the most, right? So what I'm trying to say is I pick up on your energy, and it's a strange sort of energy that kind of presents itself and pulls you in, but then once you're there, it may not necessarily want to connect with you, and that can be, you know, really frustrating. So you have to kind of, just like with this video, you got to try. You got to keep at it, you know? You got to keep at it. So that's what we're doing. So let's keep doing it. So 10 of Cups so far. Nothing else. Let's see. Let's take a collective deep breath. Mid-July to mid-August. Let's take the lunar eclipse into account. The moon's already, you know, been messing with you guys for a few days. It's like a parenthesis from now until the middle of August. Let's look at the whole period instead of just from now until August. Because I feel like you need a broader perspective. That's why nothing is coming up. The 10 of Cups is a very broad perspective. In and of itself, I could do a reading just on that card, but then you guys would be like, okay, you really suck. Like, you made us wait how long? Let's see. It could also be that the cards are tired of doing the reading. So, like, we've done this so many times already. Sometimes it's like this, man. Sometimes it's like this during a reading. Sometimes it's like this in person. And people start to get a little bit uncomfortable, you know. You see how the energy is kind of going nuts? I'm just going to let it play out because it's happened so many times now that I'm getting comfortable with it. I'm getting comfortable with the fact that when I read for you guys and you guys have like certain vibes going on, that I pick up on it and my tech reflects it. I'm beginning to understand why my tech fries. So right after this, I'm going to make a full moon video after I do your reading and your extended reading. Well, nothing's coming up. All right. The Tower and the Page of Wands. So here we go. This is kind of what I was talking about. The thing underneath. I was just listening to a lecture on the Aquarian nature and on how the most expansive sign is also the most rigid in other ways. The one who wants to connect people and ideas the most is the one that's also the most lonely, the most isolated. And that rings true for me. There's like an Aquarian that got under my skin recently because she's like always like taking these like stupid pictures with dogs and like it's all the time, 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 and it's just dumb and annoying. And like I was so tempted to be like, you know, so when I heard this lecture, let me put it that way. When I heard this lecture, I was like, yeah, exactly. Like Aquarians have a tendency to display something externally that is so much something, but then it's so obvious from just the sheer volume with which it's being done or the sheer enthusiasm with which it's being done that it's masking the complete opposite. I'll give you another example of what I mean. Like if someone works with art that's like really round and makes really round shapes and everything is really like round and soft and pastel and whatever, usually, or when you look at psychoanalysis, that generally means that that person internally is super rigid and has like an extreme rigidity to their personality. So being a Gemini, I have that tendency, and having Aquarius in my house of abstraction, right, and philosophy, I have a tendency to pick up on that And like when a certain person behaves too much a certain way, I immediately see the other side of that coin of what's going on with them internally, and it grates on my nerves. And that's why I was telling you like how these two people, you know, who like I don't cut people out of my life, but these two people I legit cut out of my life. And I think that's what they both had in common, is that they were both externally doing something that I was like that's so obviously not what's going on with you. Why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep, you know, you're making me so uncomfortable, you know, like your displays are making me uncomfortable. So if you find yourself this month in my shoes, if you find yourself looking at yourself externally, and bottom of the deck, Lover's card, if you find yourself looking at yourself externally and if you find yourself playing this out in your head of like what I pretend I want, let's say it that way, or what I pretend I need, and what's really going on with me. Every picture is with the dog because I love life and I love animals so much I could just die. And like I'm lonely as fuck inside. And like miserable. You know, it's that. Like you're gonna see yourself from the outside. And I think that's why so many Aquarians have been like, excuse me, like if there was a month to like delay our reading, like this wasn't the month. Like don't do it. Because you guys have been feeling this a lot already. And so I'm telling, like everything just, it's a very strange kind of energy. Very strange. But we'll work through it. It's good. It's good to see, right? Because then you get to see what it's like when the energy won't flow like easily. Do I look like a ninja? I don't know. We're just gonna go with it. I'm sorry if it's like too indigenous and frightening looking. But like I swear I'm not trying to do this to scare you. Anyway, the Tower, Page of Wands. So a fire sign coming in here, of course. Activity in the house of romance, activity in the house of relationships. We want to talk about love. But see, coming up with the Tower, like you want to talk about it, but I think you want to talk about, camera froze. I think you want to talk about what happened. I think you want to talk about like, did you play me? Did you betray me? Did you talk about me? Or I think you want to talk about things. Let me put it to you this way. Let's look at these three cards together. I think you want to talk about things like this. Like, let's be in a relationship. Let's live together. Let's get married. Let's renew our vows. And then it has this reaction, even though you're communicating really well. I think for a lot of you, that's what you're worried about. The bottom of the deck right now is the Five of Swords. I don't know. Can you trust the person that you're like doing all this for? Or you're feeling all these ways for? I don't know. Because this whole cardinal cross energy for you this month is about relationships and other people. I would be remiss to give you a reading on something other than that this month because it's the thing that you really need help with. And I think that's also why I couldn't do the reading, because I was personally like feeling like sucked into the situation, you know, like into your collective love lives and what's going on with you guys. Something just flew out. Four of Pentacles. Feeling really stuck with you guys in things that you really want to hang on to. But like hanging on to in a way where it's like, my guy, like what are we hanging on to? Like what's... The Four of Pentacles is a card of feeling like you need to hang on to someone or something that strongly. but for what? Like, what are you... I think this month you're going to be like, but why am I hanging on? For what? Like, I need to have a conversation about this. I need to know where this is going. I need to know if this can be salvaged. You have, you know, this Aries energy in your house of communication in your third house. Like, you know how Aries is. They want to know. They want to go. They want movement. They don't care. They're like, whether it's good or bad, I don't care. But we got to do this now, you know? So... I think it's going to make you look at this Four of Pentacles energy. What are you hanging on to? And I also think if you look here, if you look here, I also think that this Tower energy appears because of the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is kind of anchoring your feelings right now. Like whatever you're trying to hang on to, it looks like it's painfully being ripped away. And there you are trying to communicate it, you know, with this fire sign energy, with that Aries in the third house, like being activated. But not with the Aries desire, which is just to move forward, but with that Aquarian fixed sign desire to how do we say it? You know, there is a tendency towards possessiveness with you guys. But not like the common sort of relationship possessiveness, more like in your day-to-day, right? You need certain assurances from a person's day-to-day of how they feel and how they think. It's that Cancer in the sixth house energy. And I think it's making you walk away from some stuff. I think that insight, you know, Two of Cups underneath. Let's go into the extended reading here. I think that insight of like how you want your everyday life to be, Cancer in the sixth house, is going to make you get rid of some people, especially in a love situation. It's just too far from what you wanted. And you've tried to hang on the best you can here. You've tried to even adopt a more, you know, bold energy. And this is also a fire sign or someone who has heavy fire placements who's kind of been impinging on your situation, someone externally. Unless this is the person themselves who you're involved with. This water energy is also, you know, for me, this is almost the same person. Someone who's balanced and kind of causing your world to rock off balance. And it all has to do with love. There's a lot of intrigue here, Aquarius. Very interesting. I would say that if we were looking just at this without doing the extended and getting more cards, which, right, we'll like clarify all this so we know more about this person and more about whatever this is and more about this and what are we exactly hanging on to, and then I'll show you my notes and my charts. If I was just looking at this, right? I would say that this month you have to decide on what aspect of this are you willing to hold on to, and what aspect are you willing to feel your way through, because you're going to have to balance these two things out, and you're going to have to draw on energy that is the complete opposite of your fixed energy. there is a lot of insight to be gained. There's a lot of peace to be found. There is a lot to be cut away and a lot of endings that need to happen, especially when it comes to love and understanding. And I know that that's very painful. And there's a certain moodiness implied here. But at the same time, it's very necessary that you be rational like this, because you already know where this is going. All right, so let's stop this here, and then we'll shuffle some more cards. I'll be right back. What's up? Hey, I just went out and came back. So here we are. And the light is much better. So let's look at it. So this would be like from next month or from mid-month for you guys. This would be where you would click on over to my website. It's going to be at ambercon.com. And then you'll be able to watch this part, the second part of your reading. So the first thing I would do is find out more about what's going on here, get the cards out, and then you can screenshot the notes. And I'll update that technology as we move forward. So it'll just be like on your screen and you can screenshot the screen. I'll get with it. But first let's do this, and then we'll look at those two things, and then we'll tie them together and see if it gives us more of an idea of where this balancing act is. So the first thing I would want to do is clarify what this is, because this seems to be the instigator for the catalyst for this. But I understand that this is your energy. I understand that this is Aries in the third house for you in this cardinal cross. I understand. But I also want to know, as an energy, but also as a person coming in, I want to know more about that, because I feel like it was the bringer of calamity here. Someone who kind of like rushed in and threw things in perspective in a way. Let's see. Let's see what comes up for the Page of Wands. And I'll just go over my notes. So, Venus is going to be in your 5th house. Romance, fun, and then I have written here, talk about commitment. So that makes sense, right? If you start having this conversation, might run into a little trouble there. And then Mercury in the 7th house, relationships. And I have written here, try again or have it out. So maybe there's someone you do want to extend this kind of like, do you want this happily ever after? And this one wants to come out. Okay, those two. Okay. So someone who goes from Knight to Queen. Okay. So someone who goes from Page but then clarified to Knight and then Queen. And just rises and rises in rank. And then 7 of Pentacles and 2 of Pentacles. So, this is someone who's invested more time than you. But the funny thing about this energy is that although they also have an investment in whatever you want invested in, they're not quite as sure as they are powerful. And that can be a thing with fire signs. They can be very powerful while still remaining quite unsure if they want the thing at all. You know, this energy may very well just be toying with the thing that you really, really want. And they have really progressed their ascent has been very quick to a place of power and notoriety and ability to manifest and life and magic, to the point where they can kind of game it. This person is gaming it. This person is playing games with something that was, quite important to you. Now take that as you will, if this is the person that you're involved with that happens to be a fire sign or have heavy fire placements, or if it's the person, the externality that caused this happy home destruction. Someone who's kind of just skyrocketed to a place of prominence, whether in your partner's life or just in the world, and now has reached a place of almost playfulness in their own life and are reaping the benefits of what they've sown. Kind of, let's look at that independently, okay? Can you see? So the next thing that I would clarify then, oh, I can almost hear you guys. All right, so let's do the Queen of Cups and then the Ace of Swords. So the Queen of Cups was coming up for me as this Cancer 6th house energy. And I have written here the 6th house, civil service, the quality of everyday life. And then as insight, I have written down the quality of what you do really depends on if you care. And this Cancerian card here for me, this water sign energy, is either the water sign that you're dealing with, and to me here it seems like a rising water, you have to think about how much of a quality relationship you can have with someone that you don't necessarily care about anymore, really, in that way. Not to the extent that they used to. See, having Cancer in the 6th house like this, it's Cancerians only do their best when they love and can nurture the thing, because that's all they know. That's all they know how to do. They can only manifest from a place of love and nurturing. And with the things I have written down here is moody, physically prone to mess, and this lethargic kind of mood. That can happen with you guys, where you can be a bit messy because that Cancer influence, in your day-to-day, your life of your day-to-day, to have a Cancer placement there means that you can be up and down in your day-to-day. And not necessarily be, embodying the best qualities of Cancer. You can, I have written down here, feeling attacked. You can take a screenshot of this. This is the cardinal cross for you guys. So what we're talking about right now, this energy here, the Queen of Cups energy, is this Cancer 6th house business. And you can see what I have written there. Right? And this feeling attacked, that's a Cancerian thing. And I'm saying that as a Cancer rising. Cancerians can feel the victim. All water signs can. And there is a sense here of you on a day-to-day right now, throughout the next, few weeks, feeling victimized to the point where you really start this is having it out. The way I have it written down here, let's take a screenshot of this. These are my notes. And the way I have it here is Mercury in the 7th. So Mercury in the house of relationships can be like this, right? Try again or have it out. Either way, your words are going to cut. Because you need to know You need to know what happened. You need to know how this happened at all, right? You need to know if it's worth caring about still, or if it's time to go. You need to know if there's still real feeling there. The camera froze again. I swear, it's been like this the whole time. This is just what it is, you guys. We're just going to push through. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it. Let's clarify this Ace of Swords. How does this go down? Because full moon 12th house that we just had recently, that really, you know, your subconscious is like really activated. It's really loud right now. That's what I have written down. And the insight I have written down there in the pink is, do they really care? And so, there you go. Do they really care? And yeah, sure, you guys have been emotional because you've been trying to figure out. And maybe that's why the reading is also late, because that's something you had to figure out on your own. That's not something that I can help you with. You know inside in your gut if on a day-to-day level this person really loves you or not. If this person really, excuse me, but if this person really fucks with you or not. You know. And you know if they're just being opportunistic. You know. And then Sun and Mars in the 6th house. Right? Be careful physically is what I have written down. Be careful. You've been a bit... your aggressive, fixed kind of energy, your fixed energy has been a little bit aggressive lately, trying to kind of hold on. And some of that energy may find its way back to you. So just be careful physically. And then Mars in the 7th house, Sun, and the new moon. So we're still waiting on what comes up for the Ace of Swords. So Mars in the 7th house of relationships, the Sun, and the new moon. So that's a lot in the house of relationships, right? So what I have written here is new start and self-worth. Well, this is a new start, isn't it? Even if it's with that person. Let's say you decide that person does care a lot and you really want to be with that person. Then you're going to have to X out some stuff from the past, right? Let a lot of stuff go. Either way, you're going to have to cut things out to get something better with that person or with the new person. It doesn't matter. And I think that's what the new moon is going to be about too, right? What I have written here for the Aries energy is say how you feel. I think that's why this Ace of Swords isn't clarifying, because I don't think you know how you feel yet. I think you're really going to have to wait until the 21st before you know how you feel. And you know why this is happening now like this? Because with the lunar eclipse that's coming next month, you guys, that's in your 1st house. So you're going to be like, what I have written down here is, what are you worth? What are you going to tolerate? Where is your self-esteem getting hit? Like, you guys have had a self-esteem hit, or it's coming. It's been either a series of, relationship letdowns, or someone who really came out of nowhere and, went for you and took your head off. There's been, you guys have taken some hits, and you have to reform yourself now, and the lunar eclipse will help you. One could even say, retroactively looking at it, that attack, those things needed to happen to facilitate the insight gained with the lunar eclipse. Okay, one card comes out. 2 of Wands. All right. So Ace of Swords clarified by 2 of Wands. One of the cool things about the extended will be that you get a look at kind of in a way it'll also be like being in a tarot / astrology class of some sort, which a lot of people have been asking about. Just because of stuff like this, right? It's like anecdotal, learn on your feet kind of immersion. Let's call it immersion learning. Learn by watching me do it. But just, with a lot more time. So, Ace of Swords clarified by 2 of Wands, and then bottom of the deck, which I also love to do, which I'm excited to do in the extending. I love doing bottom of the deck because I love seeing what's going to happen later. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, there's that Cancer energy coming back up. So, clarifying for Ace of Swords, and then let's look at what's going to happen later. Yeah, Two of Wands really is about you moving forward from a situation that may or may not be tolerable. Either you're bringing this person along on your new journey, or you're leaving that situation. But either way, like I said, that Aries energy at the beginning of the reading, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta move. You gotta evolve. You gotta get better. You can't stay here. And I think the energy you're dealing with is with someone who wants to stay stuck in like just this one way of being, and they don't want to move past it. They want to hang on. You know, it's that really like stubborn earth sign kind of energy. They want to like hang on to what happened. They want to hang on to what you said. They want to hang on to how it went down. And I think there's a part of you that has also picked that up from them, where you're also hanging on to stuff and resenting stuff. And now, you know, this Ace of Swords is about cutting all that behavior out that's not natural to you and really doing what is natural to you, which is being expansive and open and outward and becoming better and getting what you want. Getting what you want, the way you want it, not having to settle for some piecemeal version of it that you have to fight and barter and hold on to and go through hell for and compete, you know, for. And feel this, and underneath it, you know, still, even when things start to work out and they start to go really, really well, still there will be this aggressive energy working against you. In the midst of all this opportunity and great stuff coming up, still this, you know, kind of opposing force that leads to anxiety. So now you have to decide whatever situation this is that you want, if this is an existing situation or a new situation, whatever this is it worth it? Moving forward, what would be worth this and perhaps this? What scenario would make it okay to feel this way again, or to justify going back to this feeling if this is someone you're trying to reconcile with? And is that person, especially if they're an air sign, if that other person that you're dealing with, are they capable of being more than this with you? And you, this is also you. Are you capable of being more than this when you're surrounded by all this opportunity and celebration and love and getting what you want and more opportunity? Can you? This really doesn't fit, no? It fits here. It kind of even fits here. I get it. But it doesn't. This is not going to help you balance out. The cards are trying to say it's great and you're going to have so much opportunity. But to manifest that into something real, you've got to address this central issue. And I think the central issue here is, how do you stand up for yourself and say what you feel and say what you know, while at the same time balancing the fact that the way you feel and what you know is harsh and perhaps too clean, too logical, too dry. And you know it. And you don't know how to balance that with all this other kind of really emotional, you know, passion-based stuff. But I don't think this is the energy that will balance it out. I think you need to give in to this. I think you need to feel the feels, but also stop trying to exert control over. It's laughable, you know, like stop trying to exert control over something that you don't have control over. You're becoming aggressive about a situation that is clearly out of your hands. I mean, listen, if this is your fate with this person, then this is your fate and you're going to get what you want. Why be like this? And if this is your fate because that person can't even get past step one, you know, can't commit to the basics that you need to commit to be with someone and have a future with them, then good that this happens here. You know, good that it happens here and we get it out of the way. Right? So one of the other things that's activated here is Libra in the 9th house, higher mind, synthesizing information, understanding. You understand like a Libra. And then I have written here as insight, the drama of superiority. So Libras like to really like feel like they're better than everybody sometimes, which is fine. It's one of their, like, when they're spiraling downward, they can feel that way, but it's like weird because they do it when they feel like they're spiraling upward, but they're never doing it when they're spiraling upward. They just feel that way. It's like an artificial high. They're actually spiraling down. But it's how they try to balance, which is really interesting and cool. But you take on that, you know, understanding like a Libra, really expansive, dealing with people, getting your understanding from people, taking their knowledge and synthesizing it and making it more awesome. But then there's the drama of superiority, this kind of that distant, aloof kind of, I have such a great broad perspective on things that I, like that Libra extra that I'm talking about, that I can kind of look down on people who may have specific hangups about things because I'm more expansive than that. That can be activated this month for you. That kind of almost like check yourself where you start to like kind of look around and feel like you're being obnoxious and you're judging. I can see that here. You know, and I have it, if you look at your screenshot, you'll see it under Libra. Then let's look at Capricorn in your 12th house. And I have written here your formed patterns. Okay, and you hide behind morals like a Capricorn. So Capricorns can be super moral and they can be really devilish at the same time, but they like to portray a sense of really rock solid morality. And Aquarians have the ability to also do that and yet underneath be hiding something unbeknownst to you even. That's the complete opposite, like what we were talking about with the person with the dogs. Okay, and then I have written here Aries forced endings. That Aries energy of forced endings. For a lot of you, this is translating into still reverberating from the shock of this clash, whether within yourself or with another air sign or with this fire sign that's also coming through here, is just being really aggressive and just seeing how that thing smashed your idea of what you thought your life was going to be. Because the forced ending energy is very strong. And then this makes sense too, right? The Chariot, like not knowing what to do or what direction to go in, and anxiety. And then the 5 of Cups, and then, you know, yeah. And then, of course, we'd have to come back around to starting again. So, yeah. Finding out, feeling that underneath anxiety when things are going well, because you're like, what is this? What's not... You know, there's something here. There's something, there's like a Scorpio energy to this reading. Like you want to look underneath the reading and find out what's really going on. You know, I almost feel like going like peeling this reality or this dimension back and going, come on, what's happening here? And I think that's the energy you guys have with whoever or whatever you're dealing with here. It's like, what's really going on? And then finally it comes out, you know, under all those cards, hiding. Whether you're hiding and lying to yourself or someone is hiding things from you, it's just there's a lot of pretense going on, Aquarius. I think that's the word I've been looking for through this whole reading. Pretense. Oh man, it bothers me. Oh, it bothers me so much. And it's hard for me to read it. And I think that, like, you're being really aggressive with your energy, even with yourself. You know, like, you're sick of it. Some of you are, like, sick of yourself. Some of you are sick of this thing that you're holding on to and sick of, like, how unable you've been to deal with it. A lot of feels. I am, like, keenly aware that I should not have waited until after the full moon to do this video, because, like, the full moon got to me. So yeah, this Chariot energy makes sense, because I was like, why is that there? Like, it seems to be like, you know, it's a good, but I understand with the eclipse coming in, there's a lot of you who are going to be feeling like, after all, this question that was asked in July, I should have really looked at it and taken those endings, because after all, that person turned out to not be who they were, and I need to start over anyway. You know, or my fallacies were brought to light and I am regretful and I need to start over anyway. All right. So that is a look at the extended. I am so sorry. This is all so choppy and so late. I hope you liked it though, and I hope you understand, and please forgive me if my energy is a little spiky. It's been a journey this time, Aqua. I love you guys. I will see you in August.